What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Live to Belong podcast. So, today is Mommy Monday. So, you know what that means. We are talking about topics concerning motherhood, keeping it real, raw, and uncut. And today, and speaking of real, raw, and uncut, today we are going to be talking about parenting on your period. I know, right? I have not heard this topic talked about much. However, I definitely wanted to talk about it today because I have definitely been tracking some behaviors that I've noticed personally with myself when it comes to that time of the month and just even how my hormones and everything fluctuate throughout the month period because yes, we have those 3 to 4 days, or for some it's 6 days of a period of blood flow. However, we have an entire 28 to 34 days of a cycle, and there's more going on with our bodies during those times as well. So, not just that phase, but there are technically multiple phases to our entire menstrual cycle. And so, just to, do a little basic background on basically what our menstrual cycle consists of, basically what those phases are, just to make sure that we are all on the same page. And also because, listen, sex ed failed a lot of us, okay? Sex ed failed a lot of us. A lot of this we had to learn ourselves. Some of us, we have children and we still don't even know, right? So let's go ahead and run through that because I feel like this is really going to help us, guys. This is really going to help us as mothers be better prepared for different phases of the month, different phases of just weeks that we go through, different phases our body is going through, so that we can be our most productive as mothers, as women, period. Okay. In our levels of productivity and tackling things head on that we need to get done so that we can, be more relaxed when those times of the month where hormone estrogen levels are low and we ain't got that much energy and we're experiencing period symptoms and stuff like that. This would definitely help us, and I'm going to share my experience too, just what I've been noticing with myself and how I plan on moving forward being more prepared, and it may help you guys too. So let's go ahead and get into different phases. So when it comes to our menstrual cycle, we have the menstruation, which we know is our period, and that there's actually a part of our luteal phase. So our luteal phase, we're just going to start here. Our luteal phase is basically after our ovulation phase. So let's go over what luteal phase is. Luteal phase, in short terms, because we don't have to get super medical here. We just want to make sure we are correct in understanding what this is. So the luteal phase is basically encompasses everything your body is doing to prepare for releasing the egg that was not fertilized. So that's going to include your menstruation. That's going to include your menstruation. That's going to include the pre period symptoms, that PMS that you are going to experience, menstrual symptoms that you are going to experience. And for some of us, many of us, though, that's cramps, that's fatigue, that's cravings, that maybe you're getting irritable and snappy, you're not in the best mood, you're not able to be as polite and as, happy and giddy as you would like to be. And you may even start feeling uncomfortable in certain clothes. Like maybe you like wearing skirts, but it's around this time of month where you're just like, you're just like, I don't want to wear anything tight or that might squeeze or cinch my waist. I just want to be loose, comfortable clothes all the time. Those are some of the things that we experience right before our menstruation. So all of that, just when our estrogen levels and progesterone levels start dropping, we're having those premenstrual symptoms, and then our period comes. All of that is the luteal phase. And so that is our body prepping and getting rid of the egg that was not used, it was not fertilized. And so everything that is attached to the uterine wall is just being released, right? So, like I said, that's when you might just be out of commission some of those days. Some of those days you're definitely not going to be as productive as you would like to be. And so definitely keeping a tracker on you is going to help you also keep track of these phases. Let me um, note that as well. And if you have any good recommendations for a period tracking app or a menstrual cycle tracking app, definitely share it down below because you may be helping someone else. Right now, I'm using Spot On. I will put that link in the bio. This is not sponsored or anything, but I just want us girls to be prepared. You're able to log your mood for that day, your how you felt, your any symptoms that you may be experiencing. And I advise that you log into these apps during the different phases that we're discussing. So not just for your period, not just noting if you have a heavy flow, medium flow, but even the days where you are not on, you're not uh in that moment or in those days currently experiencing menstruation, you're still logging your moods, your habits and different things like that, because that's going to help you track like, oh, okay, in this other phase, even outside of my menstruation, during this other part of the phase or other phases, this is actually what I'm experiencing. So you'll be able to note when you're most productive, when you're most excited, you're most energetic. You'll be able to use those moments to your benefit. Okay. So that's the luteal phase. Oh, now that your luteal phase is done, your period has ended, it is the last day of your period. Now you're experiencing a couple days after your menstruation has ended. Now your energy is picking up, everything is picking up. This is called your follicular phase. This is your follicular phase because now your body needs to start by producing those hormones again. Your reproductive system now sending hormones to your brain because it's letting your brain know like, hey, that the menstruation is done, we're ready to get things back in order the way that they need to be. We've gotten rid of that last egg. It's time to create new ones, or it's time to release follicles. That's why it's called the follicular phase, because these follicles is what turns into the egg. These follicles are what um begin to line your uterine wall and different things like that. Just telling your reproductive system like go ahead and get back into reestablish the conditions needed for this egg to do what it needs to do in the next phase, right? So creating the egg, this is when you are gonna feel a lot of energy. Not the most energy, it's not the peak of the energy, but you're gonna start feeling more energy. You're gonna start feeling like, this is myself. This is how I feel on a regular basis. So you're feeling more of yourself. You have the energy. You're able to go through your daily routine the way that you need to. And so you can function during the follicular phase. And you might even feel as the days goes on, you're starting to feel even more energetic, even more actually enthusiastic about getting tasks done, right? And so now that we're moving out of the follicular phase, that energy is still continuing to increase because now you've hit your ovulation. In ovulation, that's when you're at the peak of that energy. You're super energetic. You might wake up some days during out this phase where you're just like, oh my God, like I'm so excited about life. I'm just so happy. I'm just so joyful. You're just like, I don't know what has come over me, but I'm just in such a great mood. Like you're feeling super feminine, you're feeling super womanly, and you just want to bask in that energy. And so you might be extra motivated. You may notice around this time of month, you feel extra motivated to get dressed, get cute, get dolled up. You're more consistent with your skincare routine and making sure you smell good. And you probably do this all throughout the month, but you're just extra motivated to do it. Around this time, you may want to go out and do things, do more activities. You're super active, and you may even find that even after working out, you still have a bunch of energy. That is because your estrogen and progesterone levels are extremely high during this time, and your body is releasing hormones telling you, hey, this egg has been released from the fallopian tubes, is going to your uterus, it's attaching to your uterine wall, and we want you to do what you need to do so we can do what we need to do, basically. So your drive may be there. Your drive is there. Your drive is really what's pushing you, what's giving you all of that energy because your body wants you to do what nature says it needs to do, right? Now, if we know now, us Christian girlies, okay, us girlies who are waiting for marriage, we don't participate in those things. However, that means it's there. And this is going to help you girlies out too, because to be honest, if you understand and you're able to know and you keep track of when this happens, then you're also able to be better prepared for temptations around this time. Okay, so this is helpful. This is helpful. This is key. Okay, this is key. One of the YouTubers I watch, she says that's tea. That's tea. And yeah, that's tea. Okay, that's tea. So yeah, so this is what your body is doing. So your body is like super hype, super energetic. Some people during the ovulation phase, because the egg is attaching to the wall, you may experience some sharp pains and stuff like that, but nothing like your period cramps, but just something like every once in a while you may feel it, but it like here and there, it may go away. And that's your body just reacting to the fact that something is going on in your uterus, something is happening in your uterus, basically. But anyway, so that is the anatomical and just biological foundation for this conversation, just so we understand what we're talking about, right? So, that being said, again, make sure you get a tracker, because look, I have experienced and really noticed some things with myself and how I parent when it comes to around these times in a month. And I want to have this conversation because, and just to share what I've been going through and just what I do and what typically happens, is because I don't want anyone to feel bad about like doing what you got to do to get through it. Like, this is something that women consistently go through every single month, right? We're going through this every single month. We're going through this every 30 days, up and down, up and down, up and down. We're going through these things. And so even if you have small children, even sometimes you'll notice that they flow. You know how women, like when women are around each other, when we spend significant amount of time around each other, our periods can sync. Well, something like that happens with our children. I don't know. It's just like almost like they're able to tell what's happening with mommy's body, because they had just such a relationship and attachment with our bodies. They can almost sense, like, when you're experiencing those symptoms of fatigue and different things like that, they can experience that. They're not experiencing it, but they can tell. Like, for example, my younger one, my 6-year old, not so much anymore, but I noticed this when he was younger too. But my little one, he's 4. He's about to be 4. And I noticed when it's that time of the month, I get extreme fatigue. I get extreme fatigue. And I also can get migraines that last days. Okay. They can last days depending on how severe. They last days, but they're usually like, I'm usually just like out of commission the first day or two of my menstruation. I'm out of commission. And so my kids, I muster up the energy to get them off the bus and I muster up the energy to get them from after school program, and that's about it. Like, that's about all I am able to manage. And I know sometimes people feel like, oh, it's just super dramatic the way like women complain about these things, or just like feel like they can't function. No, it's PMS is real, and PMD is real too. And I used to have PMD when I was younger. I was diagnosed with PMD when I was younger. However, since I had my children, a lot has changed. Let me get back on topic. So he can tell when the time of the month is happening for me. And usually around that time, like I would say maybe 3 days prior into the first day of my menstruation, that's when I experience the extreme fatigue. It just starts to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And I muster up the energy to get him off the bus. But after that, mommy cannot function. So I would try to like lay him down. I don't expect him to, but I try to like lay him down to just sleep with me. And most times I have found, especially like these last two cycles that I have tracked, I have realized he will sleep with me. He would actually sleep even as long as me. He will sleep even as long as me. And his behavior is actually more chill during that time, almost like he can tell. Like he can sense it. There's this connection between us where he can tell when mommy just like can't do it. I let him snack, like even getting up, like cooking is just out of question. That first day or two of my menstruation, cooking, if I didn't meal prep, it's out the window because I can't stand for that long. I can't even stand for that long. And so, they snack. I let them snack and I just keep good snacks on deck. Okay, especially for around that time of the month. And that's a tip that may help some of you too. Just get your kids like favorite snacks. If you're anything like me and you have the ability or just when those moments when you are able to relax and you really, really need to, and it's just like sometimes you just gotta take that time. Even if it's just for a little bit. Take that time, keep snacks on deck and let your kids go ham. Like my kids are 4 and 6, and I was starting to feel bad that it was like that around that time of the month. But then when I start realizing just how congruent their behavior and stuff like that was with the time, I realized, you know what, like my kids know. Like they don't know what's going on. It's almost like this biological sense that they know. And they never make me feel bad about it. I just feel bad about it. But I always make sure they have what they need. My kids are still always fed. I keep their favorite drinks, and which is water, honestly. Which is water, sparkling waters, flavored waters. They love water. So I keep flavors and varieties of water. I keep plenty of fruit because they love fruit. So when I say snack, they're not snacking on a bunch of chips or anything like that. I don't really feed that to my kids much. Every once in a while we'll enjoy it and stuff like that, but most of the time they're eating fruit. They love bananas, so I'm always buying like 4 bunches of bananas at a time, and I promise you they're gone in a day. They're gone in a day. So they're eating bananas, they're eating peanut butter crackers, they're eating all the stuff that kids like to eat. Because to be honest, at the stage that they're at right now, anyway, they're super picky eaters. So this is stuff that I'm allowing them to snack on anyway. Outside of like actual meal times. This last period, what I did is I meal prepped. I made sure that that meal that I cooked like 2 days in advance, whatever, it was enough to kind of get me through at least that first day of menstruation symptoms. So that helped me out a lot. And so if you actually notice that with your kids too, I would love for you to share. Like if you notice that around that time of the month, things seem to go a little bit more smoother with your kids than a little bit smoother with your kids than you expect. I would actually love to know because it's kind of been surprising me since I have been tracking it. Now, I would say the part that I know I definitely have to work on for sure is more so in the earlier stages of the luteal phase, because between my menstruation and when my ovulation phase starts is very close. Like it's literally just 2 days, 3 days after my period ends. Yeah, is that's when my ovulation phase kicks in for me. So it starts like super early. My luteal phase is at the end of my period. And then like my follicular phase is literally like 2 days, 3 days, and then my ovulation kicks in. That's how quick my follicular phase is. So like literally right at pretty much the end of my period, my energy spikes right back up as if nothing ever happened. Literally. Not like that's exactly how I feel too. Like it I wake up just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about life. I'm so happy. I'm so excited about life. It's because it literally happens that fast for me because my body has moved through the phase that quick. So what I noticed is in the luteal phase, the week, like that entire week before my menstruation, literally right before my menstruation, as my luteal phase is going into menstruation, I get really irritable. I definitely experience premenstrual symptoms, and they are definitely yeah, they can, yeah. I get irritable. I can get snappy. I can get very emotional. Now, the funny thing is when I was younger, like I said, I was diagnosed with PMD, and that's because I experienced extreme menstrual cramps, vomiting, nausea. Like, I am not, I go to school, I'm at the nurse's office. I'm at the nurse's office, and I would have a heavy flow for those first 2 days as well, too. And yeah, like I would be dizzy, I would be nauseous, I couldn't eat the way I needed to. Like, my appetite was just, because I was in so much pain, and I would always end up back home after being sent to school anyway. I would still always be sent back home because I couldn't focus through all that much pain, to the point where I was taking ibuprofen so much, even got to the point where I was taking ibuprofen prescribed by the doctor because I was diagnosed with PMD, that my body has built an intolerance to ibuprofen, to where ibuprofen is not as effective for me as it used to be. Unless I'm taking like a small dosage for something very minor, and I'm talking about small dosage for something very minor, and even then, it doesn't really work because I didn't take acetaminophen as much. I can do acetaminophen, but even then, I just try to stay away from the painkillers altogether as much as I can, just because I took it so much. And if you know anything about painkillers, they can take a toll on your livers and your kidney. And I had to take it so much when I was younger. It's just like, I don't want to mess up my body. I just really want to be careful and take my health into consideration. So if I can tolerate it, whatever pain is going on, if I can tolerate it, I'm gonna tolerate it. That's why with the migraines, I tolerate them unless I really, unless there's a deadline and there's something I really, really gotta do. And I'm just like, I gotta be able to like focus the way I need to focus. I'll take the painkillers. But if I can tolerate it, I'm gonna tolerate it, even if I gotta lay down and nap for a second, and nap for 30 minutes, or whatever I need to do. I'm gonna tolerate it. I'm gonna push through the best I can, even if I gotta have attitude with it, as long as I get through, right? So it used to be really bad when I was younger, and so I would experience a lot of the physical symptoms um in the extreme when I was younger. Now, after having my first child, I experienced not having cramps anymore. And that was so surprising for me, because um after I had my first child, that's when I realized like people weren't lying. And I was like, I literally thought people were lying. Like, when people would say that they did not get cramps during their period, I thought they were lying. I was like, you guys are lying. There's no way. Y'all experience something, because what I go through every single month, it feels like I'm dying. Okay? It feels like I'm dying, or it feels like I'm about to actually go into labor. Like, am I going to labor, or am I like just having a menstruation? Because this is crazy. That's just how extreme I would experience symptoms, right? However, after having my first child, and then after those 6 weeks, everything comes back into order. You begin your menstruation again. And I think I even began mine a little bit earlier. Um, Things came back into place, and I was waiting for it. Like, the first two periods, I was like, okay, there's no cramps or anything like that. Okay. But I'm expecting, like, at any moment, at any time, like, it's gonna kick back up, ramp back up the way that it was. So I was just like super like in denial that things had changed, and the cramps never came back. I just only had menstruation, and it was regular menstruation. My flows didn't change. But what did change definitely is just the extreme physical symptoms that I was experiencing, that stopped. The only thing that was new was actually migraines. Everything else went away, but migraines were new. So I was experiencing migraines, and I thought it would, and that it would hit me, and I would be like, why does my head hurt? Like, this is not a headache. This is a migraine, because it's literally not going away. Well, not really all over my head, but if like I feel it in a spot of my head, and it just feels like my entire head is just ringing, like somebody is just banging a bell in my ear. You know what I mean? It would feel like that. And I would think it was because I didn't eat. Like I didn't eat the way that I should. I was dehydrated because it felt like those symptoms I get when I do make the mistake of doing that, of not eating, waiting too long to eat, or something like that. Right? New. I realized like, oh, this is actually happening right before my period comes on. This is a new symptom I'm experiencing premenstrual. So I was like, you know what? I can deal with this. I take this over what I was experiencing any day. Okay. So no more cramps. You kidding me? What? It was heaven. It was heaven, guys. Then I had my second child and the cramps came back. Now, definitely not as severe. My cramps came back very light, very subtle, pretty much like a discomfort. Like discomfort in my abdomen, but definitely not like full on cramps or I'm in pain or I'm like just out of commission because I'm in so much pain. No, they just came back very slight, very just like uncomfortable. Like okay, I want to be in comfortable clothes type of feeling. Like I don't want nothing hugging my waist. Definitely the bloating, of course. And the migraine was still there. So these are all things that I'm just like, okay, I'm cool with dealing with that as long as we don't go backwards to what we had before the PMD. Now, that being said, also came back after baby number two, I wouldn't say, well, it kind of came back, but it came back more noticeable to me this time. And I think it's because I'm a parent now, like I'm a mom. What came back is more of the hormonal, the more psychological symptoms that I experienced throughout my cycle is what came back and what became more noticeable for me because when your hormones change, you feel that. When your hormones change after a baby, you feel that. And that's because your body, I think just as a mom, your body has become so sensitive to any slight change that it's just like, oh, you automatically know like, something's off. And I think that's why some moms, like, you're pregnant before you even take the pregnancy test. After the first time of having a baby, you're pregnant before even taking a pregnancy test. You already know because you just feel it. You know that slight change is just something like that intuition kicks up even more. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I've started to pick up more on like my attitudes and behaviors and how it changed throughout the month. So, back to what I was saying is that week prior to my menstruation, during my luteal phase, I get really snappy. I get really snappy. And I would find that like every once in a while, I would get like really snappy with my son, like when he was not listening, like my older one, because he's very much a natural born leader. And so he is not always the type that's going to listen the first time you say something. And I already know how to manage that. I know how to nurture it while also teaching him how to tame it, though, because I am your mama. Okay. So I know how to manage that. I know what I usually do. I know my usual tactics on like how I manage that to make sure I'm not getting frustrated and he's not being reprimanded in a way to where he feels like he can't be himself, right? However, when it comes to that time, that week prior, with me being so snappy, it's like my patience is like that. And so after so many times of having to repeat myself and telling him to do something, I might snap. I might snap on him. And this last period, I snapped on him. This last time I snapped on him. And this was like that Monday, right? And I remember it vividly because like I said, I've been tracking just to see. That Monday I snapped. Okay. Now don't be afraid to tell your children sorry. Okay. Because I definitely told him sorry. Because I was just like, ooh, I'm so sorry, baby. Now I don't cuss at my children like that or nothing like that. I definitely don't cuss at my children. So it wasn't like I cussed him out. No. I just snapped on him. Like, raising my voice, yelling, and just like I just lost patience. And you can see just all the frustration and rage on my face, right? And in that yell of me telling him to go take some time to himself in a corner somewhere. And I had to apologize because I don't want to scare my children like that. One, he doesn't understand what's going on with mommy at that stage. You're not able to put words to it. He can sense my irritability, but he doesn't understand that like this is something that mom is going through because of a hormonal change. And to be honest, before I kept track, neither did I. Okay. So it's so important to track these things so you know what to do around that time of the month. So I know that's something I definitely want to improve on is when I know that week prior is at play, definitely prepping myself, like having more like calming activities to do with my kids. That way I'm not just in the moment, you know what I'm saying, like scavenging to try to figure out what to do with them or what to do to even calm myself down, but to have things to where I'm relaxing myself despite the hormonal change, relaxing myself or doing something or having something to where I can take a moment, take some time to me because I know what's going on with my body is not something I can necessarily control. It is something though that I can manage and understand that it's happening, because when you know it's happening, you're able to prepare, because I don't want to snap on him like that. However, now that I know why it happened and why it's been happening, because I don't snap on him, but I noticed here and there I was snapping on him and I'm like, is this, why is this happening? And now I know why. Now I know why. And now I'm able to prepare. So I think some tips that I wanted to share based on the things that I've been doing is, when it comes to your body and hormonal changes as women, like we are affected uh extremely by hormonal change, whether it's from the phase of our cycle changing, or it's from taking birth control, or it's just eating something. What I definitely recommend is something that I do is I watch what I eat and I work out. So I'm working out at least 3 times a week. Right now, I'm doing every day because I'm getting ready for a photo shoot soon. However, at least minimum 3 times a week. And that can be just for 30 minutes. Walk on a treadmill, go for a walk with your kids. Do something physical, do a physical activity, because that's going to get your blood pumping. That's going to just aid your body in doing what it naturally needs to do and flowing through these different phases the way that they need to. It's going to help you properly use that energy when it comes to that time of the month where your drive is high. It's going to give you something more productive to do, so you may want to work out longer during those times. Instead of 30 minutes, you do an hour 3 times a week. And different things like that. Or what you can do is pick an activity that's super fun for you. So whether it's dancing, hula hooping, jump roping, pick something that's super fun for you and plan to do those activities accordingly. I definitely say that. Use those highs of the phase, the ovulation phase, and even that follicular phase where your energy and your estrogen is boosting to your advantage. Get those big projects out the way. Get a head start on them. Get tasks done in advance and use the most of that time, because you know when it comes to your menstruation or the luteal phase where you're kind of um feeling more depleted, on the depleted side, at least you would have gotten ahead on a lot of things, and you will also have used that time to prepare, to have things to keep your kids busy, and even keep you and your kids busy and in good energy, because you prepare activities and different things or food or ideas that you guys can do. Like you can do a movie night, things that are relaxing, planning those different activities. That way your kids are entertained, and you don't have to exert as much of the energy that you really don't have during that time. I would say outside, and this is outside of work and stuff like that, guys. We all have our different obligations that we just got to figure it out. We just got to figure it out, right? However, that exercising is going to help you, because when it does come to that menstruation phase, what you'll notice if you start exercising regularly And when it comes to diet, cutting down dairy as much as possible, you'll notice that synthetic hormones and all these different things are not working against your body's natural flow through the cycle, your natural flow through these different phases. Your body isn't having to fight those things along with doing what it needs to do. But what you want to do is do things that is going to work with your body and encourage your body to do things effectively. Your body is a machine, right? So if it's well oiled, if it's well taken care of, it's going to function the way that it needs to, and it might get things done even faster and more productively. However, if we're putting things in it that it doesn't really need or that's not really good for it, then that's exactly what you're going to experience. And your PMS may end up being even worse because of the synthetic hormones that's in dairy and stuff like that, because that's what they're feeding to these mass produced um these animals who are being fed at a mass production level. They're being fed synthetic hormones and even injected. And so when you consume them, you're consuming that too as women. And that is not helping our bodies at all, okay? Because we're not being mass produced. Like we're not we don't need to be injected with synthetic hormones to force our body to continuously produce milk and do this and do that. We don't need that. So neither do we need to consume those things really, when it comes to taking care of our bodies and our human reproductive system, okay? So you'll notice, like, if you start now, let's say you just had your period, if you start now cutting out at least one dairy product from your diet that you normally consume, if you cut out just one, and let's say cheese or eggs, if you cut out just one, I bet you would notice a big difference by the time your next menstruation comes around, or even that, during your luteal phase, you'll notice a big difference. Yes, you'll still experience that drop in estrogen and progesterone. That's because it has to happen for what your body needs to do during menstruation. But what you'll notice is you won't be feeling so rock bottom during that time. I promise you, because it definitely made a big difference for me. I will tell you. So I will definitely attest to that. It made a big difference. And I would say what even contributed to with the shift and my experience during my menstruation with my kids is I also dramatically changed how I ate during those pregnancies as well. During the pregnancies and after the pregnancies, my habits became healthier and my eating habits became even cleaner as time went on. And so I believe that is what helped so much with my body recovering so well, because I also had my last child. I had him completely natural, no epidural or anything. I absolutely loved the experience. I don't know, many women can't say that. Um, and I'm sorry for that. And I definitely will be sharing my testimony in terms of like how I had just such an amazing labor and delivery, all natural, no medicine, nothing. Like, I'm still amazed today, but I was able to do that. And from the working out every day while I was pregnant and different things like that, it helped a ton. It helped a ton with that process and postpartum, and recovering postpartum. So I would definitely be sharing that soon. But yeah, so those are my two tips: just exercising consistently on a consistent basis, eating well by cutting out dairy, eating more of your fruits and vegetables, because the folic acid that is in your greens, in your vegetables, and in your fruits is actually what helps during that follicular phase as well. That helps during your follicular phase. Okay, folic acid really helps out your reproductive system as well, and that's natural folic acid from its natural source. I know some people have to take it. However, eating it is even better. Eating it is even better because it's attached to all the other proteins and components and compounds that folic acid comes with. So you're consuming that as well. You're consuming it holistically, and your body is able to digest that even better. Okay, than when you take a pill or take a supplement. If you got a supplement though, do that. And in saying all of this, please consult with your doctor. Please talk to your OBGYN. Please talk to your gynecologist. And those appointments are even better. They go even better when you have done your research, when you have been able to keep track of you and your period and how things go with you. So you can ask more specific questions when it comes to you and your body versus getting general information. So those conversations with your doctors are going to be much more effective. Those appointments are going to be much more effective. And you're going to get a lot more out of it and get a lot more out of what you need as well from your doctor. I'm so happy to have shared this with you guys and calming methods for you that you do more so around that time to help you stay calm, like stretching, taking baths, um, different things like that. Just have you like, you know how we have those dating jars that people have been showing with the popsicle sticks and the different dates on them. Do that for yourself. Have different relaxation activities in there and pull one and say, okay, I'm going to go read a book for 15 minutes. So guess what? You're going to sit your kids down. You might take your kid, even if you have to take your kid somewhere to see your mom or whoever for a little bit. You go take them over there and you say, hey, I'm going to the car for 15 minutes and you go read that book. I'm not kidding. Like, find a way to chill out and relax because if you don't do it, your kids pay for it. That's what I've learned. That's what I learned. If I don't do it, my kids will pay for it. And it just became even more a testament of how I really do have to put myself first in order to be the best mom that I can. That's what I learned. So parenting on your period is completely possible. It can be completely productive. It just takes preparation. Okay. Awesome. So I hope you guys have found this super helpful. I hope you guys have found this useful as mommies, and I hope you enjoyed me sharing just what I go through in my testimony. Definitely don't feel shame. Do what you got to do. And sometimes you got to let those kids just run around and do whatever they want to do for a little bit, and you can clean up the mess tomorrow. You can clean up the mess tomorrow sometimes, okay? Depending on what it is. Yes, guys. And in honor of just, you know, reproductive health and all of these different things we discussed today, I have an announcement. The Lift of Along podcast is welcoming a new series. This series is all about what God says about sex, okay? And when I say sex, that is all inclusive of what we talked about today, understanding your cycle, what you need to know, what you need to do. What does God say about these things? What advice is there that God has for us? What is God telling us in His Word about just the human biology? And what is He telling us about connection, relationships, why we got to do things this way and that way? And especially what He does specifically say about sex. Why does He say what He says to us in terms of how we should steward our bodies, steward our temples, the way He recommends in His Word? And so we're going to get into the Word. We're going to explore these things. We're going to allow God to give us fresh and new revelation about what His Word says, what He wants us to do, what is His will for our temples, so that we can better steward them. Even on just on a personal level and on a relational level and social level, guys. I'm so excited. This new series will be launching in February, and an official date and official announcement will be made. But I am so excited about this new series because I really want to dive into this with you guys. I really want to show you guys the congruency between what God says in His Word and science. Because to me, what I found is that science is always proving God's word right. And so I really want to share it with you guys, the revelations that I have received already, the revelations that we're going to discover together because we're learning together, okay? This is God's sex education, okay? And I absolutely am super excited and ecstatic about it. We're going to dig more into that. However, this topic was just super perfect for Mommy Monday to go ahead and segue and introduce this new series is coming in February, and I hope you love it. Definitely subscribe, like, turn on your notifications so that you'll be noted about the official launch date of this series and everything. And yeah, I hope you guys found this information useful. Go out there and be the best mommy you can be. I love you, and I'll talk to you later.